Hi, I just wanted to share with you different ways that you can build word recognition skills at home. My name is Jen Nascimento, and I am part of the Kindergarten Readiness program along with my co-partner Nancy Esparza. I'm an instructional coach. Nancy is a psychiatric social worker, and we pull our information from the 5 developmental domains that come with the early development instrument. During the presentation, if you'd like to jot down 5 handy tips that you would like to try with your students, that might be great. Okay, so just to explain real quick, the idea of word recognition and language comprehension together creates reading comprehension in a child. You can't comprehend if you can't read the word. Neither can you comprehend comprehend the word that you're reading if it has no base for you. So for example, a 2-year-old can read the word McDonald's. They're not really sounding out the letters, but if their parents go to McDonald's often and they say, we're going to McDonald's, and they see the sign and they know that they can get a toy or a Happy Meal, then they start to understand that this symbol represents McDonald's. So they took the symbol, which is word recognition, the comprehension that came from I go there and I get a meal, and then that puts it together for them. Word recognition is broken down into 3 parts, which is phonological awareness, decoding, and sight recognition. None of the parts are more important than each other. They all work together when you talk about word recognition. Phonological awareness is just focusing on sounds. It's the ability for a child to recognize that this is where a word begins and ends. This sound is separate from this other sound. It's all about sounds. When you're dealing with phonological awareness, a child starts off small. A child starts off in bigger pieces, such as the word level. So for example, a word level in this example would be cookie. Then they can break down syllables, cookie. Then after that, a child learns how to separate the onset, which is the first sound in a word, from the rest of the word. So cookie. And then later, ultimately, a child learns that the word is made up of different phonemes. K, k, e. So this particular word is made up of 4 phonemes. The more that a child can play with these different word parts, they can add a sound, they can take away a sound, they can blend the sounds together, and they can pull the sounds apart. That's what's really important for our children. This is a real quick video on decoding and what that means.
Welcome to Learning Mode. Today we are thinking about phonics explained and really going through all the different terminology and the steps to teaching your child or working with your child on phonics in school or at home. So we're going to look at step 1, which is decoding, and that will be the first step in your child's phonics journey. Decoding is basically being able to recognise a letter and to say the sound that it represents. So children initially will be introduced probably to the sounds before they are even introduced to the letters. It just depends on the phonics program that your child is following. But a lot of phonics programs really focus on the sounds first, and then the letter representation of the grapheme comes later. But basically, the idea of decoding is that a child can look at a letter in a page or on a book and know the sound that represents. If your child is following the likes of Jolly Phonics program, or lots of other programs do this as well, they will be introduced to these letters, these graphemes, and these sounds first. So it will be S-A-T-P-I-N. The reason that they're introduced to those sounds first is because these letters can come together to make a good variety of words. So the children can actually start to decode these sounds to read very, very simple words. So for example, S-A-T. Immediately, if they've learnt those 3 sounds, they can start to decode a word. They know the S is represented by the sound S, A, T, sat. So they can start to create very, very small CVC words. Again, pin, pat, sit. So there are lots of combinations that your child can make with these words and can decode those little letters to then start reading. So your first step would be decoding.
Now, something else to keep in mind is that reading is not accomplished overnight. When you get to the actual part where you're attaching letters or groups of letters to sounds, this takes a while. So please don't be alarmed if your first grader can't do complex consonants or even complex vowels. They will hit that skill again in second grade. And then third grade, it takes a while. Sight recognition is the ability to recognize words and sounds faster and faster. And so words that children used to decode, such as k, at, can later be recognized by sight because they've had enough practice and built that pathway in their brains. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of different tips, different activities that you can do at home, hopefully to get your child just excited about reading. Don't underestimate the power of a child's name. A child's name is the most important thing to them. And so, feel free to play with Post-it notes with different letters, or if you've got some tissue paper or construction paper around the house, write your child's name large, big, and have them practice their fine motor skills and cut up the, different little pieces of color paper and glue it onto their name so that they really get to play with their name more and more. The old I Spy game can be changed so that they can spy a sound. So rather than I spy a table, you can say I spy something that starts with T or ends with able. If your child is older, you can accomplish so much by using push pins, rubber bands, maybe a cork board, a bulletin board. Write several words on one side of the page, write some rhyming words but in a different order on the other side of the page, and attach some push pins. Let your child stretch some rubber bands around to match the rhyming words. Over here we have an example of letters written on balls. You can put them in egg cartons, have them play around with words, or I like this activity if you've got any of the old Easter egg plastic containers around the house, you can fill them with different things that start with the same sound, and then have your child open up the egg. What sound do all of these things start with? Or just one thing. You can put some Legos in there and they open it up, and see that it has Legos in it. So then the child can write the letter L, on the egg. Or better yet, make the child work a little more. You write several letters on top of the egg and have the child go around the house and find things that are small enough to fit inside that start with that letter. Letter sound race is a game that you can play if you've got some magnetic letters, maybe a cookie sheet, maybe a magnetic board, or maybe even your refrigerator. You put the magnetic letters on one side of the room and the surface that they're going to race to on the other side of the room. If you have two kids, it becomes a competition. You go, all right, when I shout a letter, I want you to grab that letter and bring it all over. Okay, on your mark, get set, W, and just have kids play around. Sidewalk chalk is always a lot of fun. You can do vowel teams, you can do sight words, you can do your child's vocabulary words or spelling words for the week. Let your child do most of the writing, and when they step on that word, or when they step on that group of letters, they can think of a word that starts with it, or when they step on the word, they can think of a sentence that goes with it. There's all sorts of different ways that you can play with that. If you're adventurous, you can blow up some balloons that have their vocabulary words or sight words that they're working on. And again, you really just want your kids to be able to have fun with words, fun with recognizing them and reading them. So let's say you had 7 different words you're working with. You blow up 7 balloons, you write the words on there, and if your child reads 3 of them, they get to pop one. They read 3 more, they get to pop another one. They reread some more that they've already read and pop it until they're all gone. Hop Across the Pond is a cute game that you can play with paper plates. In this example here, you've got the number representation and the word representation of the same number. And so a child starts on one side of the living room and you say, hop on the word 1. Now hop on the number 9. And you direct your child across the pond. The next time you play, your child can tell you which one they're about to jump to. Giving more ownership to the children is very important. You can splash around with some water and have some fun outside. Make the child write down the blends or digraphs. In this example, you've got SH, CH, and then your child can take the sponge and throw it and wet, the different sight words or, graphemes that you have over there. On the other example, have your child write out all of their words on index cards and then they go away. You hide, or you can fold them up, you can hide the index cards around the living room and then tell them there are 6 or 7 words hidden in the living room. Ready, go. And it becomes a scavenger hunt. The idea is for children to have fun with language, with letters, with print, with sounds. The more fun they can have, the better. Thank you so much. I hope any of these were helpful for you. And again, my name is Jen. I'm part of the Kindergarten Readiness program. Here's my email, and I would be happy to talk to you more about any of this. Have a great day.